Hey family, welcome to How Love Works, where we discuss the principles for lasting love. Well, we're going to get started a little differently today. We want to start out with, I want to read a couple of paragraphs from Steve Harvey's book. It's called Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. And what I want to talk about is his 90-day rule. And this is what he says about it. He says, think about it. The first guy you slept with quicker than 90 days, where is he? I'm willing to bet that you're probably not with him. True, there are some people out there somewhere who had sex early in the relationship and are still together to this very day, but that's rare. More likely than not, a guy who gets benefits early in a relationship without having to put in work or to prove himself leaves and moves on to a committed relationship with a woman who puts him through some type of probationary measure or probationary period just to find out more about him. I'm sure that women laid out the rules, the requirements early on, and let her intended know that he could either rise up to some requirement or just move on. The guy who is dating you just to get benefits up front is going to be on his best behavior in the beginning, specifically so he can make you think he's worthy. But just as sure as time is going to come and go, he'll eventually show his true nature. Give it at least 90 days and you can smoke out all of that out of him, so you can be sure that this guy is the right man for you. After all, it's your right to want what you want and to actually get what you want. Again, that's Steve Harvey from his book, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. We have been discussing over the last couple of weeks this question, and this question has been, why is it that most black women's relationships end in epic failure? Why is it that most black women's relationships end in epic failure? Well, we pointed out that there were 7 what I like to call deadly sins that create this failure epidemic that black women are experiencing right now. And the first deadly sin is mindset. The second one is emotional immaturity. The third one is not understanding men. The fourth one is too masculine. The fifth one is emasculation. And last week we talked about the number 6 one was boundaries. We said that women have a problem setting good boundaries or setting boundaries, period. And today what we're going to be discussing is a lack of sexual discipline. The lack of sexual discipline. This is an issue, again, that I stated last week was one of those issues that many women don't give a whole lot of interest or spend a lot of time thinking about. Now, with that being said, that is the 7th, and this is the last time we're going to be talking about this issue for some time. The lack of sexual discipline that a lot of women refuse to exercise in their dating. Now, the reason for that is because of the landscape in which we live in, the current day dynamics, if you will. See, we live in a high supply sexual economy. That means that it is a pornographic and pernicious and promiscuous, if you will, society. A very hedonistic society is the type of society that we're living in. And sadly, the mindset of this culture advocates for women that they should be released from all the rules, if you will, that governs how, when, where, and why they have sex. That's a mouthful by itself. Okay, many women completely dismiss any rules regarding sexual discipline on their part. That's sad. The reason why is because they do not want to adhere to any rules that ultimately inhibit them from doing what they want. Now, that begs a question. And the question is, why do so many women accept the sexual lies that keep them single? Why is it that so many women accept the sexual lies that keep them single? Well, because of what I said earlier, how the culture teaches women that they should be released from any rules that govern how they should have sex, when they should have sex, where they should have sex. These lies are, unfortunately, there are many of them that women believe, but I'm only going to deal with just three. And the first one is pretty simple. The first lie is that, and you hear it all the time, women always talk about sexual chemistry and compatibility. Now, women think that adds value to the relationship. They really do. They think that, well, if we're having sex and the chemistry is good, then the value of the relationship must also be good. Well, that's a lie. That's a lie, because that may be true in your mind as a woman, but as a man, it doesn't matter. Because a man could care less one way or the other whether or not you're good in bed or not. I mean, obviously there are a lot of men who would like to have a woman who would be somewhat experienced, but that takes a man down another pathway of thinking if in fact that woman is decent, if you will, in bed. And so that's going to take me down another road that I don't want to go down right now. So I want to go to the second area. The second area or lie that women typically believe when it comes to sex in their relationships and why they have such a difficult time using sexual discipline in their relationships with men is because women also believe that sex leads to love. Now, they don't really consciously think about it in those terms, but they kind of act that way. They think that if I'm having sex with a man, that it's ultimately going to lead to love. It doesn't. The only type of man that sex leads to love many times is if you couple sex with a certain behavior that limits his access to you. See, if you limit your access, then it makes him want you more. Now, I realize that's somewhat of a rule, and women don't like rules because they think that blanket rules inhibit their ability to do whatever they want to do, however they want to do it, and it's not going to work anyway. But based upon the society as I see it now and how it's been behaving and how women are losing when it comes to relationships, I don't understand why anybody would forego utilizing laws, rules, standards, boundaries that's going to get them where they want to go. Instead of doing this rogue thing that everybody's doing. Everybody's a sexual rebellious, in sexual rebellion and kind of doing what they want to do. And nobody's getting anything, no real benefit. Nobody is creating families. There are no legacies that are being developed because people are not being able to get together because the inflammatory relationships between men and women are so adversarial. So that's the sad situation that we're living right now. Sex does not lead to love, ladies. I just need you to understand that. Sexual chemistry and compatibility only means something to you and to some of the egalitarian-minded men who buy the same feminist nonsense. It doesn't do anything. You could teach a man how to be better in bed. That's one lesson he will show up early for. He'll be there for that. You could teach that. You don't have to have some guy who has been the best in the world. He's the greatest, and you thinking, oh wow, why would you want to marry a man like that anyway? Why would you want to be with a man? Well, I take that back. I digress. Unless marriage is not an issue. Marriage is not an issue, then forget what I just said. Just forget it. Just do you. Okay. Number 3. Women believe this lie that sex validates the relationship. Women think that they're not really in a relationship unless sex is a part of it. That's what they believe, because that's what other women believe. They get it from the feminist mindset. That's where they get it from. Men have sex indiscriminately. Women should be able to have sex indiscriminately. But it's not working for either parties. It's not working. Okay? Now, this is very quick. This is just cut and dry. This is not a whole lot to say on this issue. I'm going to give you the unintended consequences of this sexual liberation that women have been enjoying over the last 50 years, but really have been losing. They're not getting any love. They're getting a lot of sex. A lot. Not getting any love, not getting any commitment. That's sad. Smart as women have become and have gotten all these other benefits as a result. But one thing they seem to be lacking in is not really getting a lot of love, not really getting a lot of commitment in their life. And the love that they are getting is temporary. It doesn't last. Okay. Here are some of the unintended consequences that you see in with men. The unintended consequences that come as a result of this sexual revolution, and that has come as a result of so many women having a lack of sexual discipline. Well, the unintended consequences, number 1, is men don't need to marry anymore. They just don't. Why should you get married? It used to be only 3 ways a man could have sex anyway. Before the sexual revolution in the 60s, a man would have to find a prostitute. He'd have to buy sex. That's number 1. Number 2, he'd have to become a criminal and maybe take sex from a woman. Or number 3, that man would marry a woman. In other words, he'd stop being a wild animal and become civilized. Raise a family, be accountable, be responsible, build. That's what men used to do. That's what family, that's what a wife, that's what children, that's what responsibility does to a man. It grows him up, right? Don't have to do that anymore. Why? Because we have a supply side or high supply sexual economy. Sex is everywhere. Everywhere. All right, that's number 1. The other unintended consequences that has happened to men don't need to pursue anymore. There's certain cities, certain areas of the city. Women can't wait anymore for men anymore. So what women have done, because they're so masculine, they pursue men. Women are the hunters now. Women, if they want something, they just go for it because they're men. You know, it turns a lot of brothers off, but because there are so many beta males out there, there's so many manginas, so many, I hate to say it, feminized men out there. They love the feminist movement. They love it when women pursue them, because at the end of the day, all they're looking for is immediate gratification. That's it. They just want to get their needs met, and pretty much that's it. Okay, number 3, no need to commit. Commit for what? Commit for what? I'll leave that alone. All right. Number 4, men don't trust women anymore. Women don't trust men. Men don't trust women. One of the biggest reasons, and again, we can go all day on this. It doesn't require a whole lot of dialogue. At the end of the day, one of the reasons men don't trust women is because what men have been getting in the court system and what men have been getting in their relationships with women. And women don't trust men either, because what women have been receiving in relationships, they haven't been getting the commitments that they're looking for, and they haven't been getting the types of relationships they're looking for. But there's a myriad of reasons why that's going on both sides of the pendulum. So women and men just don't trust one another. So that's an unintended consequence. And the last one, men don't need to be productive. Not necessary. Productive for what? Okay, she no longer wants to be my exclusive sexual partner. Okay, well, I'll go find another one. There's always another woman waiting in the wings because she has already bought in to sex leads to love. She already believes sexual chemistry means something that's going to add value to the relationship. She already believes that sex is an indication of a relationship. It actually validates a relationship. She believes all that. So let's go for it. You know, if you don't want to give me what I want, another woman will. So the only thing that's going to make you different is that you don't buy any of that. If you do all of the things that I've just mentioned, if you believe all the things I've just mentioned, you're going to be just like all the other girls. You're not going to stand out. You're not going to be unique. Nothing. You're not going to be able to even explain to a man if you wanted to go with Steve Harvey's 90-day plan. Now, personally, me, now that I bring that up, I'm not a real big fan of his 90-day plan. I think it should be better. I think it should be longer. I think it should be put together in a strategy that works for a woman to keep her from going crazy. Because I'll say this and I'm done. One of the biggest reasons, and I didn't even mention it, one reason why a lot of women relationships end up going down the toilet with men is because once they introduce sex into the relationship, irrespective of what they believe about it, is that they lose their confidence. That's number one. They become clingy. That's number two. They start having problems, especially if they've done this since age 16, and they have been getting the same outcome, but not really registering in their minds. What will occur at that point is that a woman, she will become what I call chemically addicted to a man because of oxytocin. Once a woman kisses a man or sleeps with a man, she is now bonded to that man. Now, that doesn't happen to him because of testosterone. But because she's a woman, unless she's a prostitute or unless she's a woman who has had a lot of promiscuous relationships, she will bond to that man. And the problem with that, ladies, is that that man is probably not a good guy. But you won't know that because you didn't take the time to vet the brother. You didn't take the time. You bought into the culture. And you heard me when I talked about it in boundaries. Don't buy anything that culture's telling you about anything having to do with relationships, money, or anything else. They have no clue. They don't know what they're talking about. But you can do that if you want to. As I said before, if I had bought into half the stuff, even half of the stuff that they're talking about, it would be no way I'd been married over 35 years to the same woman. No side kids, nothing crazy. Nobody coming in my house trying to blackmail me because I don't buy none of the junk. I didn't have the midlife crisis. I didn't think I needed to go out in the street and do a whole bunch of foolishness. I didn't need all of that because I don't buy it. But you guys have bought it all. You have drank the Kool-Aid. You've taken the red pill. So to me, as far as I'm concerned, my hope is that I'm helping you. My hope is that you take some of this information. My hope is that you will not be so quick to introduce sex into your relationship, because as soon as you do, to me, the relationship is pretty much done. It's done. Because there are a lot of gurus out there that tell you if you want what you want, you got to bring the sex. And you got to bring it hard and you got to bring it heavy. A lot of women already believe that. You don't have to convince them of that. But all you got to do is look at their lives. 72% of all black women are single. That is outrageous. Over almost 50% of the black female population has never even been married. And a relationship with a man is not the same as marriage. You're still single if you're not married. So I don't even want to hear I'm in a committed relationship. No, you're not. You're single. He's single. He do what he want. You can do what you want. Unless a man give you a ring and a date, you're single. Period. I don't care what you call it. It makes you feel better, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, if we get down to brass tacks, you know you're single. You know the man's not loving you. You know he ain't committed to you. It's just you don't want to be by yourself. I understand that. That's what you were designed for. You're not supposed to be by yourself. You're supposed to be with the man that loves you for the rest of his life. But you don't know how to do that. But that's what you listen to me for, because I could tell you how to do that. Do these 7 things. Implement them. Now, we're going to go into a little more detail on some of these things in the future. But that's the 7 deadly sins that ruin relationships for black women and all women for that matter. I hope I helped you. I hope you can take that information to heart. See you on the other side. God bless you.